It's just a show. I should really just relax. For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, now this is an exciting night for me because I've never gotten to do this before. I've been anticipating it. I've been nervous about it all day. I've been excited about it. For the first time ever, I'm getting to interview some of the new cast members of my all-time favorite television show since I was a little kid, Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's back. It has its own home now called the Gizmoplex. They're no longer dealing with networks because networks suck. They're doing their own thing now. And we have two of the huge stars from this show as Emily Connor, Emily Marsh, and one of the voices of Crow T Robot, Kelsey Ann Brady. Welcome.
Hello. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited for you both to be here. I like I said, I've been looking forward to this for a while, and it's so awesome to have you here. And thank you guys for being here.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be together virtually.
Virtually, that's right. Yes. You know, if there's one good thing, I've said this before, if there's one good thing that came out of the pandemic, it was new ways of getting to communicate with each other. Zoom, I don't know where we'd be without Zoom these days, to be honest.
It is very true, even though I don't know if anybody else has had this problem in real life situations where I'm like, all right, cool guys, I'm going to go. Oh, we're in person. Oh no. You can see the lower half of my body, can't you? Oh, this is weird.
I'm wearing pants.
You try to push buttons on your phone to disappear and it doesn't work. You're just sitting across the table from them and you're like, okay, well, I guess this has to continue then. Sorry.
Or you try to turn off your camera so you can roll your eyes.
Right. Then there's no camera because you're in person and it's like, oh, well, sad day. But anyway, first of all, I gotta say this, Kelsey, I have that exact same hat here because Elton John came. I'm coming to you from Knoxville, Tennessee, and he just came to Knoxville in April for his farewell tour. Did you get to see him in concert?
I sure did.
Where did you get to see him at?
In Orlando.
In Orlando. Wasn't it an awesome show?
I cried a lot.
Yeah. It was one of those.
For me.
It was one of those concerts that just, where there wasn't a single bad song in the group, and you knew every single one of them, and it was just fun. It was just a magical night to be a part of.
And the energy was just electric, and everybody was just wearing all kinds of sequins and glasses.
Yes.
And stuff. We were all like, yeah, we're here to have fun.
Everyone in Knoxville had their most exciting get-up on, the glasses, the sparkling, the scarves. Everybody went all out for it, for sure. So it was a lot of fun. We don't want to leave Emily out of the conversation, but I had to make note of that.
Elton John, haven't heard of him. So,
heard of him.
Sorry.
He's an up-and-comer, but he decided to go ahead and retire. So, it's good to have it's good to have those one hits and out.
This is reminding me of the Super Bowl with a Super Bowl concert where people are like, "Ooh, who's this Missy Elliott? Is she like a new artist?"
Right. I saw a few people on Facebook after that. It was like, man, these guys got a lot of talent. They're going to be huge. And you just wanted to punch a hole through your screen.
Oh, that Paul McCartney that did that song.
Remember that? That was the worst when they said, "Oh, Paul McCartney, he's got a lot of talent. He's going to go places." Like, oh my God. All right. Well, let's get right into it. We are headfirst into the new season of Mystery Science Theater. You guys are a huge part of it. How are you feeling about the new season so far?
Oh, I think it's been, I don't know about you, Kelsey, but I think it's been super exhilarating. I think what keeps happening is I am equal parts exhilarated and nervous because so many of these things, you film them and then you give them to an editor, because most of these we filmed in October or February. And then to finally get to see them months and months later, it's like, ooh, was it as funny as I remembered? Like, oh, what edit of this is it going to be? You're just really on edge. But what's been so nice is every time I feel like I've been genuinely able to laugh at the episodes and kind of forget that we're a part of it, which is all I really want, is to sit and enjoy a Mystery Science Theater episode like I always did.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It just happens one of the faces is a little more familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I 100% agree. I feel like, unlike with the tour, when you see the movie over and over and over, when you film it, you see it a couple times. And we've had people over to come and watch, and I find myself, laughing along, and I'm like, is this weird? Is this narcissistic? I'm like laughing at my own content, but at the same time I was like, oh yeah, I forgot, that was really funny, I said the thing. And then hearing things that other people said in their delivery where you're just like, yes.
And Mystery Science Theater is one of those like grandfathered shows where you're gonna laugh regardless if you've seen it for the first time, you've seen it a million times, or if you're on the show, you're gonna laugh at everybody because everybody is just hilarious.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. And there's always, what's also nice too with Mystery Science Theater is there's always something you've forgotten. Even with episodes super, super well, it's like, oh, that one little detail. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. And I'm noticing it. And it's just weird to do that now with episodes that we've been in, where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, we did that line. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Who wrote that line? And I was in the room and I can't remember.
This past episode, Dr. Mordred, the line, Harryhausen and the Philosopher's Stone, it floored me, and then I thought that was the most clever joke that has ever, because they keep talking about the Philosopher's Stone, so you're immediately going to Harry Potter. Then you have the Ray Harryhausen type dinosaurs. I mean, it fit so well. That was the best joke. The
universe gifted
that, right? It was like it predicted Harry Potter. It was really kind of amazing.
Todd, are you too highbrow for Loud as your favorite volume? Too highbrow for that?
No, I try to be. I try to adjust to society. Sometimes it's hard. I don't know. I apologize.
Well, luckily, Mystery Science Theater is something for all of us.
That's right. That's right. Yes, it's not too highbrow for anyone. But no, it's a great show, and the season's going great. What's it like in the writers' room? What's it like sitting there and focusing on these films? And then having to create content for them. What's that like? So
I'd say that it's
torture chamber.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's definitely equal parts. I think it's similar to. I guess there's nothing quite like pitching a joke for a movie, and you either immediately hear everybody laugh, and you're like, "Oh man, I nailed it," right. Or there's silence, and then you go, or whatever, or something, and then sort of like go back into your chair.
You thought I was serious?
Who would come up with that dumb joke?
That just slipped out. Well, because I've always wondered since I was a kid, are there jokes that not everybody laughs at but still make it into the show?
That's a great question, because I think what ends up happening, at least the system that we had, was that there was like an Excel sheet that was open to everybody to put in their riffs ahead of time. And then there was a writer's room where everybody can pitch their jokes in the room. It kind of gives people a chance to like bounce off of each other. And then the final thing is everybody's assigned a part of like the 5 minutes we're going through to assign the jokes. But everything stays in the Excel sheet, which I love. So even when we were on tour, we were given full permission to pick a riff. Like if we're like, hey, if a riff is not working, check out the Excel sheet. See if there's something else in there, try different stuff. So I think there's a lot of the times where the scripts we edited and then seeing the final script for filming, and I was like, oh, that didn't make it. I guess Joel thought that was too dumb.
I tried. It's fine.
It's true. And then there's certain little things that get through, and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. That right. Silly little joke made it from beginning to end.
Right.
Yeah. So it depends. There's definitely, and of course there's also things that just you say in the room, and it's like, or like when we're filming, and it's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Let's just do that.
Right.
Like the whole process is, I love that Joel as a creator is so not precious. Like if people think it's funny, he's like, well, look, we've got a new riff to put in there. That's great. Right. Like there's like a really refreshing lack of ego in the whole process.
Then that's a fact. Joel Hodgson himself is just egoless. I mean, he knows talent, he sees it, and then he takes care of everybody that's with him, or at least that's the vibe he gives off.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And also he's so like, I love that, he could have, with the reboot for Netflix, been like, hey, I'm back as Joel Hodgson as the host for these new seasons. But he was so, and he has always said this when we were hanging out on tour, is he's like, no, I want it to be the format. And I like seeing new faces fill out the format. And like, it just means more fun. It means that people don't get attached to like, him basically. It's
Right,
like, yeah, I made this show, but it's about how great the format is and it's fun to change it up.
That sounds right. I remember reading an article a few years back where he said he kind of wanted Mystery Science to be like Saturday Night Live, in that you bring people in, they'd have their time, and then they'd go out and you bring in new people, and then you'd get used to those people, and so on and so forth. So that makes a lot of sense. And in retrospect, that's exactly what happened. I mean, we got to know this group, we went on to the next group, we went on to the next group. It's very segmented like that. So, and obviously he pulled it off. So Kelsey, what's it like? How did you feel when you realized that you were going to get to take on the reins of Crow T Robot? What went through your mind when you knew you were going to get to do that?
Oh gosh, I think I'm still processing it. I don't know. It still doesn't feel quite real. I remember feeling so lucky that I was chosen to swing for the tour. And, the fact that Crow was one of the roles that I covered, and the only one I ended up actually doing, was just wild to me, because it just was kind of like, oh, I'm here to support the whole cast. I'm here to kind of be here when they need me. And Crow just happens to be a part of that. I don't know. It was just so weird. And then when they asked me to do it for the actual show, I was just kind of like, you sure?
you sure?
Because I wanted to just show up and do my best and be as funny as I could. I don't know. I was just the whole time just smiling. I'm just happy to be here.
It's like, I'll do anything. I'm just happy to be here.
Okay.
You just tell me what to do. I'll do it. That's fine.
Yeah, and sometimes in this business of show, a door opens and you just gotta walk through it and say, hey guys, who wants to have fun?
I think even if the imposter syndrome is so strong, like I think because I felt the exact same way when it was like, cool, so you're gonna be the host on the new season. And I was like, on the outside I was like, cool, of course. And then inside it was like, don't show that you're freaking out. Don't show you're freaking out.
Well, yeah, because you talk about, I mean, you both had enormous shoes to fill, but to be the human host of the show following Joel, Mike, and Jonah, like, how did that feel for you?
It felt amazing. It felt very daunting. My favorite comment, I think, still in like press and interviews, which I think is so sweet, is people are like, I mean, I find it just funny because it's speaking the truth, where people are like, so Jonah had kind of a career, and then there's you, and who are you? And I was like, you're telling me, man. Like, they left the back door open and I snuck in somehow, and they haven't told me to leave.
And then they gave me a credit in the show. I don't know what happened.
I don't know how I did that one.
Right.
No, so definitely very intimidating, very daunting. But what was fantastic was that for filming, Joel was on set, Jonah was directing us. And so to have both of those guys there, once again, talking about the lack of ego, because both of them could have been, they both could have been like jerks about it. They could have been like, oh, this is a big deal. Like, make sure you're, heralding all of the hosts that came before. This is important. But Jonah and Joel were always so nice about saying, like, I love Jonah saying was, obviously it's MST3K, like, it's a big deal, but also it's MST3K. Have fun. Just have fun.
That's the whole point. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. You could have been working for Jim Mallon. Okay, moving on from that. I'm not going to say anything else. Jim Mallon. There you go. You made an interesting segue though, talking about where you came from. Let's talk about your all's humble beginnings. Emily, we'll start with you. Where did you come from? What tell the story of Emily Marsh.
Who am I? Mm-hmm. I am but a simple puppet doll wiggler from Washington, D.C. I went to school for acting, and then my first job out of college was being a puppeteer for the Cincinnati Madcap Theater, which means that I had the illustrious job of driving a white van around and doing shows in capatoriums.
Hey, sounds like.
But Oh, really? I mean, honestly, it was so much fun. I miss Capitorium shows so much. I think they're the closest thing we have to gladiator fights.
That's true. That's true.
Are you not entertained?
I didn't do that, but I did work in radio for a while, and I was the guy that drove the van around and had to set up for the station to make it look. So, I know all about that. Creating a world that doesn't exist for about, 2 hours, and then you're out of the van.
Also, my favorite is when you go, oh, this is so great. Is someone going to set this up? Oh, it's me. I set this up.
So who's going to, nobody.
I do all the things.
Yeah, I just snuck in the back. I don't know what's going on. Well, what about you, Kelsey? Where did you come from?
I am from Maryland. I currently live in Orlando. I guess my first puppetry class, I took a class in college at BYU in Utah, and ended up working at Disney World, and that's where the puppetry really kind of flourished in my mind. Learned a bunch of shows in the theme parks and stuff, and that's where the puppetry side of me grew. And since I actually met Emily in 2017.
Really? I lose track of years now. If it's been more than 2 years, I'm like, who remembers?
Yeah, what?
Yeah,
life before the pandemic. I don't know.
I know. Anything before pandemic feels like it could have been 92. It could have...
Right. Pre-pandemics is so long ago at this point. I don't even.
But I interrupted you, Kelsey. Go ahead. Where did we first meet?
We met doing a workshop at Sesame for learning TV style puppetry and stuff, and then our paths just crossed again and again, and here we are.
There you are now. On the greatest television show ever. You guys made it. You did it.
The universe has collided us.
Thank goodness. We did it.
So I do have a question. When it comes to Munchie, are you guys glad you slipped under that radar, or are you upset that you didn't get on that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have slipped by Munchie. And my favorite joke was on set was making Jonah so pissed that he had to run the writer's room for Munchie and then also host Munchie.
Yeah.
Because he hated Munchie so much.
Right.
So much.
Were you guys around when it was all going on?
I was not.
So it was funny. The way the schedule ended up working was, so April, we started doing the Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And basically then we had all that amazing success, raised all the money. And then all of a sudden with a couple days notice, it was, hey, what's your next couple months looking like? You're going to be writing on episodes on Zoom rooms. Then you're going to film. Then you're going to go out on tour. And then you're going to come back and film. So from now until February, you're booked.
Oh my God.
Which was great, but it was I did not anticipate this.
I didn't realize there was this much work involved.
Right, and we had 2 writers' rooms going at the same time. So Tim Ryder was the head writer for one room, and Jonah was the head writer for another. So so they didn't burn everybody out, they had one group going at one time and then staggered it for another group going. So I think while they were doing Munchie, might have been when we were doing Demon Squad, potentially, which I got to write on, and obviously I'm not hosting because now it's announced that will be Joel's first episode, which I'm so excited for people to see that movie. It is near and dear to my heart. See, so I'd trade Munchie for Demon Squad over Munchie all day long.
Right.
I don't know. Demon Squad's real bad.
Demon Squad real bad. Not to mention, it's a bad movie from recent history. So B movies from the last 10 years, wherever you are in time, they're never great. You have to look back on them fondly 20, 30 years down the road. But one from 3 years ago, you're like, no, I can't with this. I can't even. But Dr. Mordred seemed like a fun movie, though.
It really was. And it was neat to see along the way, once the movies were announced what we were doing, people would be like, Dr. Mordred, I love that, or why are you doing that one? We love that movie.
Why are you doing that one? Yeah. Why?
And after watching it myself it was definitely that was a fun one to do, to be like, yeah, wow, feels like there was a lot of money in this one.
Right. More than usual.
Even though it was revealed it was shot in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I always love when MST3K can get people who are associated with the episode, like the real movie, to come on and talk about it. Because I feel like at the end of every MST3K episode, I'm like, I have so many questions for everyone involved in this movie.
Yeah.
And that Courtney was so nice to come on for Dr. Mordred. And then we got the lead from Robot Wars. There's just been so many mysteries being solved. I love it. Like that all happened in 3 weeks. That's crazy.
It fascinated me how many celebrities in general, and of course stars and production workers of these films, had actually seen Mystery Science and were a fan of the show, and enjoyed the treatment of their own movies. It is kind of surprising. Yeah,
that's happening with Demon Squad. The brothers who directed it are apparently huge MST3K fans and were thrilled that they had gotten picked.
Right.
I feel like Joel is always very adamant in saying that, we don't do this to be, there's no animosity, there's no like nastiness about it. It all comes from a place of love and appreciation, and just like the love of movies and the companionship, the community around it. It's all from it's like we're ribbing you because we liked you.
I feel like Mystery Science follows the same rule of the Friars Club. I can't talk. The Friars Club, which is the motto is we only roast the ones we love, and I think that's probably apropos for Mystery Science Theater too. Is that they only watch the bad movies because they're so great. And really, that's always, I don't know for you guys, has there ever been a movie that was viewed on Mystery Science Theater that you just loved when you watched it? Because there's quite a few for me. Is there any that you just really enjoyed from past or present?
Who I would say, well, one I really enjoyed from the newer Netflix seasons, Star Crash. I just have such a soft spot in my heart for, and Space Mutiny. I don't know. I just always have such a big,
that was mine.
Those big swings, and you're like, what were they thinking? And especially when they're in sci-fi and space.
Right.
I just love that because there's so many. They had to really try and make a lot of choices. Man, some of them are just so weird. Like, I'll never get over in Star Crash that the robot has that Southern accent.
Yes.
So weird. So weird.
So dumb. But it works. Somehow it still works for that film. And, it's great. Overdrawn at the Memory Bank is probably one of my favorites, too. And in addition to Space Mutiny, it's swing and a miss. It's trying to do sci-fi, and it just comes off as lame. But entertainingly lame, though, is the key phrase here. So what about you, Kelsey? You have a favorite?
I think either Space Mutiny or Prince of Space. They hold a fondness to me.
Prince of Space, it gets old after a while because he keeps saying, "Look, you're not going to kill me.
You can't kill me. Your weapons are useless against me."
And yet they keep doing it, but he's like, "Stop!" And so it gets monotonous after a while.
This segues into, because I love you always share these episodes, Kelsey, how'd you get into Mystery Science?
Oh, gosh.
Not to put you on the spot, but it's one of my favorite origin stories ever.
Please explain.
It went from, I casually know what that is, to a regular tradition, because an ex of mine, we actually had our first kiss watching Space Mutiny.
Oh, that's adorable.
And got married and loved the show, and then got divorced. And we got the box set, but I think I won out in the end.
He got the box set, and you star on the show. So I think I think you won out in this contest for sure.
Even though kudos to him for introducing you to it.
Exactly.
So we are grateful.
Yes.
I wouldn't be here without it. And I don't, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, I don't know. I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say. So
I do. Sorry,
Go ahead.
on that, I am very curious to know because we have no contact, but just to be like, what's he thinking right now? Is that?
what do you think?
It's probably kind of weird. Did I ruin his favorite show? I'm sorry.
Mm.
That would be. I don't want to get in the middle of things, but that would be amazing if you did ruin the show. That would be the best thing ever. I think that'd be hilarious.
Oopsie. Thanks for introducing me.
Sorry. So, actually, I did see you guys live in person when you guys came to Knoxville in January on the tour, and the tour was great. The show was fantastic. Making Contact, probably the I would say the best film that Roland Emmerich ever did. I'm going to give him props for that. But I
can see your eye twitching, Emily. I can see it.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. That's what I was going to get to. How tired of Making Contact are you?
I think I'll go first only because it's unfair. Being the swing, I was only in the show for maybe 4 weeks total on tour. The rest of the time I did piddle around backstage and help out, but most of the time I could kind of avoid it.
Yeah. So it didn't hurt you.
I don't think I was as
right. It didn't hurt you as much, but Emily, it's probably a different story for you.
And it was me. It was karma, really, because the first tour where I was there, I only need to really be on stage for like a total of 15 minutes or 20 minutes at any point in the show. And I remember thinking, wow, this is great. They're paying me money to do nothing. And I don't even have to watch this movie. And I loved No Retreat, No Surrender. I would go out of my way to watch that movie. It's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Making Contact, though, it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. I don't even know where to begin. Like the kid actors, I knew it's sort of
actors.
Well, it's that joke of you listen to that song on the radio and you go through the cycles of, oh, it's catchy, I kind of like it. Oh, now I hate it. Now I want to stab this song in the face. Oh, I found something to love in it again. Okay, it's coming back around. And I feel like that would just happen. Like it felt like I was in a dysfunctional relationship with Making Contact, where it was like, why are you hurting me like this? Why did you have to be so bad? You couldn't do this thing?
What did I ever do to you?
But you kept coming back.
But then here's the thing, Todd, is we found out that there's another movie that Emmerich made after this called Ghost Chase. And Ghost Chase is so much worse. It's so bad. Yeah. Like, at least it made me appreciate Making Contact.
You think Making Contact is tropey and confusing? This other one, it's like, it's got the same puzzle, like building blocks, but the tower's like
it's not
warped and
right.
And there is another goldfish in Ghost Chase.
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. There's a weird goldfish scene. Not in the same way, but just inexplicably involves a goldfish.
Maybe Roland Emmerich had a thing for goldfish. I don't know.
This is what, this is why I wish Joel joked.
Like, same building blocks.
Yeah.
Joel joked that he was like, Roland Emmerich's totally going to show up in LA. And we're like, that's not going to happen, but I want it to because I want to ask him about the goldfish.
Right. I need this. I need
to know.
Why? Was there a goldfish? There wasn't Goldfish in Independence Day or any of those other movies, were there? I don't think so.
I got to watch it again because now I'm thinking there might be hidden somewhere.
And what if we'll have to watch Moonfall? I'm not watching Moonfall.
Don't watch Moonfall. Please don't watch Moonfall. I love you, Roland, but God Almighty, that movie.
We'll watch it on the next tour. We'll make it together.
That's the next movie for the next tour. You got that right. Well, so what? I mean, what do you all know about the future of Mystery Science after season 13? What are we looking at? Or do we even know at this point?
Well,
I think it's.
Episodes
go ahead.
are going to keep rolling out until Christmas.
Right, that's through this season, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the goal is that ultimately, and I think we're all just sitting tight because I just heard from Tim that he's looking at the last edits for the year. So there was still as we're rolling out these episodes, you think of them as being done, but there's still something going on behind the scenes of editing, adjusting sound levels. So I think almost the next part, now getting done with the editing, will be kind of seeing, how the Gizmoplex has been doing. Ultimately, the goal is that if we can, we're doing season 14 the same way that we did it before, like no networks, just straight to the fans.
That's important, yes.
Guerrilla
We don't need them.
We don't need them.
So I think that's the goal, and I think all of those guys, as soon as they can take a breath from having gotten all these episodes done, that's sort of the next thing. And I've definitely heard it tentatively talked about, so we'll see what happens. It'd be awesome.
Well, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Of course, we still have season 13 to get through, and you guys are in multiples of those episodes, and I know everyone is looking forward to seeing them, and I know I am too. Emily Marsh, Kelsey Ann Brady, thank you both so much for joining us on this show. I'm so humbled by it, and I cannot thank you enough for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Todd. Thank you for reaching out.
Absolutely. You're so welcome, and thank you, guys. We've been talking to Emily Marsh and Kelsey Ann Brady of Mystery Science Theater 3000 on the Smokin' Hot Toddcast.